Sweetie, yeah. Things will never be the same. They're never gonna be the same. Yeah. That's just the way it is. Oh yeah.
I see no changes. All I see is racist faces. Misplaced hate makes disgrace to races. I wonder what it takes to make this one better place. Let's erase the waste. Take the evil out the people, they'll be acting right. It's both black and white and smoke a crack tonight. And the only time we chill is when we kill each other. It takes skill to be real time to heal each other. And although it seems evident,
prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply. It's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Today is Tuesday. We have the BluePrint Power Hour. If you're here watching live on Facebook or YouTube, you can post your questions and we will answer them live on the show as best as we can. As you can see, I didn't have the image up at the beginning of the show because I was grooving, listening to some old mashups, which I love to do often. Danny Oquendo, Geraldo Oquendo is listening from Colombia. Or watching from Colombia. Thank you for being here, Danny. It's always a pleasure to have you in the audience. And we're going to be getting started in just a second. I have a couple of announcements. For those of you who are paying attention, this month, the last Friday of the month, we will have Casual Friday. If you have any topics that you want Elisa and I to address, email them to casualfriday@superhumanradio.net. We'll work them into the show as best as possible. Also, today is the first show of the secret word. So during a commercial break on every show this week, there will be a secret word that I will speak. And when you hear that word, write it down in an email and email it on air at superhumanradio.net. And you will be entered to win a box of the new cake style birthday cake tasty pastries from Legendary Foods, our title sponsor. So remember, don't fast forward through the commercial breaks. You won't hear the word. Listen to the commercials, and when you hear that word, and it's very obvious, it'll jump right out at you. Write it down, put it in an email it to me at onair@superhumanradio.net. At the end of the week, we will pick one lucky person, and we're going to do this every week for the rest of the year. So you'll have plenty of opportunities to win a box of tasty pastries. And if you don't want to wait to win, you can just go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and buy a box, because these are by far the best sugar-free, high-protein snacks you can find anywhere. Everybody who tastes them, they're buying them so quickly they can't even keep them in stock. shrnetwork.biz/legendary. Use the code SHR10 to save 10% off. Check them out, show them some love because they are our title sponsor. Without further delay, let me play Rob's music.
Calling all BluePrint Army. Fall in line. It's time for the BluePrint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish on the Superhuman Radio Network.
How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing much better than last week when my lower back locked up right before going on air. It healed in a record time, right? 6 days. IT band still bothering me a little bit, but I found some solutions for that too, which we'll talk about later in the tip of the day.
John Peaks, who's usually on the road, is watching live today. John, are you not on the road, or are you just standing still somewhere? Because I know you don't watch us while you're driving. I know that for a fact. So post that. It's always a pleasure to have John here. Yeah, so that was pretty freaky. And so do you have any idea what caused your back to seize up like that?
You know, it was a freak thing. I just got out of my chair and I don't know if I twisted the wrong way or what, but I wasn't lifting anything. I wasn't doing any exaggerated range of motion. So look, it happens. Fortunately, it healed almost as fast as it hit me. So
back in people like that, I remember I have a good friend who's a chiropractor, and he told me that one day a guy was shaving and sneezed and blew
I've done that.
And bro,
I've done
this
it
guy blew a
season. Yeah.
disc. He ruptured a disc. Like
Oh
that.
my God.
Yeah.
No, I've never done anything that serious.
Yeah. So
Wow.
those back problems are tricky. Let's see if this is John. John Peak says he's at the post office waiting for his wife to mail some packages. That's very nice. Very nice. Glad to have you here.
Cool.
John, let's see here. Robert Thompson says Tractor Supply sells a colostrum replacement for newborn livestock. Do any athletes use this? Unless contradicted, I will consider trying it. The number one colostrum supplier that I used to buy from is Percoba, Percoba, and that is what they did primarily. They sold to livestock farmers, and they used it for calves. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'd buy it in a heartbeat. Let us know, and let us know the brand too after you get it. That'd be great. So anyway, we have lots of good questions, and we're going to get started, and we'll work the live ones in as quickly as possible. Henry Kozlowski says, here's something I've never heard asked. What's your take on water consumption? That's interesting.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not an easy topic. It's somewhat complex because the real answer is it depends. It depends upon the activity that you're engaging in. Obviously, someone who's running a marathon, right, of 26 miles, his water requirements far exceed that of mine, somebody that engages in resistance training. Now, I can say I've seen others, and I myself in the past, have carried around these big water jugs shooting for a gallon of water a day. I've even known some strength athletes that try to get 2 gallons a day. I'll keep my answer brief on this one. In most situations, I think that's overkill for a strength athlete. So just like protein and creatine or testosterone or anything else, you can drink too much water, believe it or not. In fact, there are documented cases, unfortunately, of people dying from such. So that's an issue. On the other end of the spectrum, there's dehydration to factor in. But the question remains, how much do you need and how bad of an effect does the dehydration have? Now, estimates vary, but even a 1.5% drop in body weight due to dehydration can zap your strength in excess of 7%. By the time you get thirsty, you're usually down 2 to 3% in body weight, and strength drops can exceed 10%. This is a big deal, right? As your normal, let's say 300-pound bencher can now only push 270. So I would tell you, if you find yourself particularly weak during a workout, checking your hydration first, that's not a bad place to start. It's easy to overlook too, because it's just water, right? We forget sometimes, 3 days without water and that's it. There are all sorts of recommended daily amounts of water to keep you hydrated. I've heard everything from that gallon a day recommendation to, the stock Joe Q Public, try to get 8 ounces, 64 ounces in total a day.
Which is basically a half gallon.
Yeah. And so I'll tell you what I do. I don't use any of those measures. What I do on a regular basis is I drink enough water to ensure that my urine is clear. If I can maintain that, my workouts never suffer due to dehydration. I never get thirsty. I will drink more in the course of a workout because your physical activity levels, obviously, but generally speaking, that has served me well. Now, on a side note, I think there's a lot to be said here about ingesting various electrolytes and or glycerin, right, as an insurance policy to stay hydrated. Those electrolytes can also make a difference, and in some studies, a big difference in how strongly you can contract muscle. So think about that, next time before you step in the weight room. Whatever you do, make sure you don't get thirsty. That is a clear sign that you're dehydrated and you need to rehydrate. And then from there, you should find yourself, I think, a happy medium. And in time, you'll find the right amount of water for you, given your training circumstances, and that can vary. But generally speaking, that's what I do.
Okay, so the next question is very long. I
Yep.
condensed it, but I'm going to read the original question. I'm a 57. This is from John Roberts. I'm a 57-year-old male in good shape and have been weight training since a teenager. However, I'm a hard gainer and more of an ectomorph. I practice intermittent fasting daily and eat mostly organic, low carb, and for the past 2 years, also trained for strength approximately 4 times a week with weights. I also practice yoga and sprinting on off days. I have tried various methods like 5x5 and splits. And for the last 6 months, I also started using Katsu BFR bands when I work out. My dilemma is I cannot really add any weight. I'm stuck at approximately 172 pounds at 6 feet tall. I do supplement regularly with essential amino acids, bone broth, collagen daily. My average calories are pretty clean and approximately 2,200 to 2,500 calories a day with approximately 140 grams of protein. Can you help recommend a supplement, nutrition, how to use that supplement, nutrition, and training to help me gain some weight? Please, I hope you can help provide some guidance. I'm unsure. Like the first thing that jumps out at me is 140 grams of protein. That's only 560 calories. So unless you're eating a ton of fat, you said you're low carb. How are you even getting to 2,500 calories a day consistently? Number one, that seems like a scant amount of protein, doesn't it, Rob?
Yeah, there are 2 issues here really that are problematic, and one of them, as you cited correctly, is diet, and the other one, frankly, is age. Okay, so let's take those one by one. First, your age. At 57, needless to say, you're far beyond your prime hormonal years. That doesn't mean your intact hormone levels won't support optimal health. It does mean they're not going to support optimal muscle building from a testosterone perspective. As such, you may want to get those levels checked, right? At the very least, get them checked. Having said that, I'm not convinced that just low to normal testosterone levels are the biggest obstacle you need to overcome. The biggest, as I see it, is diet. And as wonderful as intermittent fasting and low carb ketogenic diets are, for most applications, it is certainly neither one of those is ideal for building muscle. And lots of it, like it sounds like you want to build. Without the optimal test levels, you need insulin. And the reason intermittent fasting diets and low calorie diets work so well for fat loss is that they keep insulin low and or steady for most of the day. So long story short, you need to eat more frequently and probably more, period. So I've never known a single person to gain significant amounts of muscle on 2,500 or less calories per day. So here's how I would go about things. First, I would establish your maintenance caloric intake. Let's say, for purposes of example, it's 3,000 calories a day. You're going to add 20% to that, at least at first, which brings you up to 3,600 calories a day. You can spread that over 4 to 6 small meals like you usually see in a typical bodybuilding diet. Those are going to be your frequent eating days. I would suggest stringing together 4 or 5 of those every week, and then try to ensure that your training days fall somewhere along those 4 to 5 days of eating frequently. For the next 2 days, you're going to go back to intermittent fasting, and I would eat just maintenance calories for the day and or keep carbohydrates low. Although I said intermittent fasting wasn't optimal, that doesn't mean it's completely useless, because by going back to intermittent fasting periodically, you will resensitize your body to the effects of overfeeding, which is going to limit fat gain, right? When you reintroduce frequent meals. A big mistake I made a long time ago was eating 7 meals a day, every day, high calories every day. The longer you overfeed, the more active the enzymes become that store fat. Remember that. You need to reset that periodically. Also, your frequent feeding days, I would suggest getting at least 50% of your calories in carbohydrates. Good carbs, of course, and the reason being they will elevate insulin, which will drive amino acids from the protein in your diet into your muscles. On your intermittent fasting days, carbs should be lowered to, let's call it 20% of the diet. I don't think you need a straight ketogenic diet in that instance, especially when you're using it to reset the body's, enzyme, so to speak. As for training, I would tell you this: 5x5, I would utilize in my big lifts. So if you are still structurally sound and can perform trap bar deadlifts or squats, barbell squats, I would do that for about 40% of your training. And in the 5x5 format is something you can gain on for a long time. So I think it's a great pick. The other 60%, roughly your age, should consist, in my opinion, of body weight work. And in that respect, I'm going to recommend a book by the author of Convict Conditioning, Paul Wade. It's a very little known book. I haven't heard it mentioned in many places. It's called CMAS. And its primary focus and objective is to bulk with calisthenics. So 60% body weight, 40% weights. If you're having trouble eating frequently or enough, frankly, Progenadrex is made to order for that. It increases the appetite, and it seems to allow you to eat more carbohydrates without them coming on around the waist. At least that's the feedback from the vast majority of guys, repeat users that use it. If, on the other hand, you're having trouble recovering from your workouts, Synthogen is the ideal in that situation. Although you could just as easily train one less day a week, which is perfectly fine, right? If you prefer that route. And at age 57, frankly, that might be what you need to do. So that's it, man. Most of this is diet and eating at a level that will support muscle growth.
So here's my suggestion. It's very, very simple. Start your fast in the evening, not the morning. Get up in the morning and have your first meal, whether it's after you do fasted cardio or before you do cardio, and stop eating earlier in the day. So stop eating at 6 p.m. You'll still get that 16 to 14 hour fast, but you're making a huge mistake by starving yourself in the morning if you want to put on muscle, because your body thinks that food isn't available. You're not in a fed state first thing in the morning. And the body goes, wow, this guy really isn't that good of a hunter. So we probably need to keep muscle gains down. I'm serious. We just did a show about this a month or so ago. The right way to do intermittent fasting is to eat your first meal in the morning, but stop eating earlier in the day to create that same time restricted feeding. Number 2, Timmy, how many calories are you eating right now? How much do you weigh? How much weight have you put on just in the past week and a half, 2 weeks?
You're asking me?
No. My nephew is here. My nephew Timmy is 140 pounds. I've got him eating 2,500 calories a day. He's eating about 200 to 220 grams of protein a day. And he's keeping his carbohydrates around 30 grams per meal to keep that insulin spike manageable. And he's eating lots of avocados and fat and stuff like that to make up the meals. He's put on 5 pounds in a week and a half. And I can tell you something. He's the typical 18-year-old. He's lean already. His shoulders are blowing up. His pecs are blowing up. And he's training with me. We're not training excessively. But my point is, 140 grams of protein is nothing. Double that. Number 1, make that the majority of your calories. Focus on getting all that protein in first, and then fill in the gaps. You need more than 2,500 calories a day at 57 years old and 6 foot if you want to gain muscle. It's that simple. So start eating first thing in the morning and stop eating earlier in the day to maintain your fasting and your insulin sensitivity, and up your protein big time. And you need to be eating 3,000 calories minimum a day, as Rob just pointed out. That's where you should really go. That's my opinion. All right, John Gray says, my spine doesn't seem to be holding up to squats very well, and I can't seem to string together 2 or more months of heavy squatting before getting some little injury. I train at home and don't have a lot of equipment, though. So what else can I do for legs?
Yeah. This happens to everyone from time to time, me included. So it's important to differentiate between, does this happen once in a while, or is this something that's becoming more and more chronic? Look, at a certain age, the human body just doesn't bounce back used to. And so stated it another way, you don't see 80-year-old men in gyms squatting and deadlifting 500, 600, 700 pounds. Sooner or later, you need to modify what you're doing. And I know Johnny well. He's about my age. So, we've got that at least. But I can sum up the solution that I would use in 2 words: step-ups. So decades ago, the Russians did studies showing that the weighted step-up basically gave you 90% of the benefits of a squat with just 10% of the risk of injury to the spine. That's a very, now whatever it is, you can argue those points, but I don't think you can argue the fact that generally speaking, you get most of the benefits of the squat with less injury risk. It's a very favorable exchange, if you ask me. And many of their world record holders, the Russians, in the clean and jerk, for example, along with the snatch, a lot of these guys did copious amounts of step-ups. The world record holder in the clean and jerk, I don't know if he still is, Tarantenko. In fact, it's stated in more than one article that for 2 years prior to setting that record, he didn't do any squats. He worked his heavy step-ups until he was doing like 400 pounds, something absurd. Now, in addition, if you work your step-ups with any significant amount of weight, you're not going to need any cardio. And people that have done this know exactly what I'm talking about, because provided you're working heavy enough, trust me on this one, your heart and lungs are going to get a killer workout. So, a few of the particulars, because these are always questions. A lower step, emphasizes the lower leg more. You can obviously use more weight. You're going to hit the vastus medialis more, or that teardrop muscle. A higher step recruits more of the posterior chain, glutes and hams. And so, in my opinion, you should strive to find something high enough where the crease of your thigh is just below parallel, just a little, maybe 1 inch or even half an inch. To me, that's the best compromise between those 2 step heights. It is best and easiest to hold a dumbbell at your side, hold these dumbbells at your side, and practice with lighter weights first to minimize things that can really hurt you. And I'm talking about excessive rocking, If you're throwing all your weight forward onto that step, you very well may face plant on the other side of it. And likewise, when you step back, you don't want to be chucked off like some guy that just tried jumping on the treadmill and got thrown into the wall behind him. It's important to practice and work up gradually, okay? I also prefer to put 1 foot on that box or step and leave it there, okay? And do your reps on that side, let's say all on your right leg, and then switch to do your left. To me, I've seen too many people stutter step and have difficulty when switching legs on every rep. If you can do it, God bless you. If you can do it and stay injury free, go ahead. I just like the 1 leg at a time version, I'll call it. And then finally, it begs the question, how do you load? And in my mind, heavy dumbbell step up 5x5 again is a great set and rep spread, because you have so many ways to progress. So my suggestion to you, Johnny, make this your main movement and watch your thigh development take off while enjoying a pain-free lower back, hopefully year round.
I just invested in two things that I'm so happy I invested in. A sissy squat machine. Calling it a machine is, I'd rather call it a contraption. And a weight vest. You want to see thigh development and glute development and hamstring development. Use a sissy squat contraption, which allows you to sit back and squat while it holds your ankles and your calves in place, and put a weight vest on it. And the other thing I like about what you said with the step up is if for whatever reason you don't have the bench or the platforms to do step ups, do lunges. Dave Pulcinella built a competition-ready physique, and he never squatted. All he did was lunges, and he had huge glutes, big hamstrings, and big quads.
Says it all.
A weighted lunge, and you could do one leg at a time, like Rob said. If you're afraid to switch and you don't have any place to walk, you do your left leg, you step back. You do your right leg, you step back. I mean, I see the girls doing them on the Smith machines. But a sissy squat machine and a weight vest, and watch what happens to your legs. They will explode. Yeah. We're going to take our first commercial break. Don't forget, during these commercial breaks, there's a secret word. When you hear it, email it to onair@superhumanradio.net. You're entered to win a box of the new birthday cake flavored tasty pastry. We'll be giving away a box every week. There'll be the hidden word, the secret word will be in every show that week, and then the following week it changes. So listen hard. We'll be right back. TaylorMade Health is focused on making sure you're able to perform and look your best. They are a leader in game-changing supplements and cosmetic products. Whether you want to increase strength, expedite recovery, facilitate soft tissue repair, or reduce deep wrinkles, TaylorMade Health has you covered. TaylorMade Health is also the home to Dr. Seed's products such as BPC, BPC Plus, and the Chill Pill. All of my listeners can now get 20% off their first order with code TRY20. That's TRY20. This code can even be used on subscription orders. Visit shrnetwork.biz/try20 today and use code TRY20 for 20% off your first order.
We've got a keto ice cream for like
the father of modern medicine said that all disease begins in your gut. That's why it's so important to protect yourself with boosted immunity. If you drink coffee, tea, smoothies, or really any beverage in the morning, and you're looking for a tasty way to start your day and defend yourself against harmful bacteria, then I have just the thing for you to try. It's called the Ultimate Immunity Protection Stack, and it was put together by my friends over at Bioptimizers. Their immunity stack has 3 products which contain over 18 natural herbs and probiotic blends formulated to fight and eliminate bad bacteria like E. coli, salmonella, gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, and repair compromised gut lining. It also includes psychobiotics, which help increase serotonin and happy chemicals to naturally elevate your mood, performance, and cognitive function with no side effects or dependencies. It's a great addition to your morning routine, and it tastes amazing. Just stir it into any beverage, sip, and enjoy. It's the ultimate way to boost your immune system right before the holiday season. Go to shrnetwork.biz/protect and use code SHR10 and save an extra 10% off on the. You won't find this deal or stack anywhere else. For fast shipping and the best deal, go to shrnetwork.biz/protect today. Are you ready to change the way you age? Of course you are. That's why you're here. Juvicel is a new first-of-its-kind dietary supplement that includes 10 key research-backed ingredients shown in studies to support lifespan. Things like resveratrol, fisetin, quercetin, pterostilbene, sulforaphane, turmeric, all in a single dose. You may have some of these ingredients already, but Juvicel is the first to combine them all into a single product to support your lifespan. It's vegan, non-GMO, and sustainable. Live better longer with Juvicel. Go to shrnetwork.biz/live better. Use code SHR and save 20% off today. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastries. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon. They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
January is World Carnivore Month, and more people are finding the carnivore diet alleviates the symptoms of autoimmune disorders as well as digestive and gut problems. But there's one issue. The carnivore diet is called the low residue diet because you're not eating plants and you're not getting fiber, and the protein takes longer and longer to digest. Some people notice that they are very constipated in the early phases of their carnivore diet adventure. Well, I have the solution. It's a product by Bioptimizers called P3OM. P3OM is a probiotic that is specifically designed to digest protein. In fact, P3OM doubles its population in your gut every 20 minutes, making it easier and faster to digest the protein you're consuming on your carnivore diet. If you find the carnivore diet is hard for you to stick to, don't give up. Just add P3OM into the mix and you'll love it. Go to shrnetwork.biz/P3OM and use the code SUPERHUMAN, that's SUPERHUMAN, and save 10% off today.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Usually right here.
Welcome back. Were you listening to the commercials? Did you hear the secret word? I don't know if it was in that commercial break. Maybe it'll be in the next one. We'll see. Welcome back to the Blueprint Power Hour. And the next question that comes up is James Andro Aaron. Oh, pretty cool. He says, I've got some PHs, pro hormones, left over from a long time ago. 4 androstenedione pills, 4 diol powder, some methyl 1 test, and believe it or not, a bottle of 1 AD. Are they still good? And if so, which ones would you take and how?
Yeah, well, in some ways, I envy him. In other ways, I don't. I got
to make an announcement just in case the feds are listening to the show.
Yeah.
You shouldn't use them. They're illegal. Send them here. The address is 2908 Brownsboro Road, Suite 103, Louisville, Kentucky, 40206. And I'll dispose of them appropriately.
Great suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay, so having said that, we've got to be talking here about pro hormones that are 15 or more years old, because everyone you mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, was outlawed circa late 2004, early 2005. So yeah, they're old. Now, old doesn't mean they've all gone bad though, because despite the expiration date, most chemicals don't magically transform to something else on their expiration dates. Now, I'll grant you they may lose potency by half, that's just a guess, or more, but the base hormone you purchased way back when, if I were a betting man, I would tell you it's likely still there. Now, I'm going to address these individually because some are useless in my opinion and some might be useful. The 4 androstenedione pills that you cited fall into the useless category, in my opinion, unless you want to raise estrogen. I never got a damn thing out of them. I remember when they were brand new, they turned me off to andro altogether. And the last I knew, they converted. A lot of
guys got gyno from 4-dione.
Yeah. The last I knew, they converted much more to estrogen than even DHEA. So something to think about. 4-androstenediol, on the other hand, is another matter. And so it really depends, I think, what form they're in here. Orally, they were never anything great orally. They did do studies showing that a threshold dose of 300 milligrams or more got some of it past the liver, but not being methylated, it really,
2.5 to 5% of orally administered base 4, 5 diol, 4-dione is just flushed right out by the liver.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I mean, gets through because only 2.5 to 5% gets into your blood. The rest of it is flushed out by the liver.
Right. Now, 4-diol powder, on the other hand, could be and is likely another matter. Why? You could put it into a transdermal base of isopropyl alcohol, maybe some D-limonene or an ounce or so of DMSO, or your favorite back in the day, Flowgel. I don't know if that's still around.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Those are all penetration enhancers. And even, believe it or not, the very first 4-diol product was just in an isopropyl alcohol base, and it worked. But it works a little bit better if you get the penetration enhancers. Methyl 1 test, I'm not going to tell you it doesn't work, as a short-term cosmetic maybe. And when I say cosmetic, I mean, if you just want to look bigger, it's going to kill any definition you have because it's all water. And given its dynamics in the human body, you simply can't build any real muscle with it because you can't stay on it for very long. And the gains go faster than they even come. It was not unusual to put a pound a day on for a couple of weeks, right? And it looks like it's all in the muscle. The thing was, when you stopped, it left just as fast. So, how you build any real muscle with that, I don't know. It is hell on your system in most cases. So I'd be inclined to leave it alone. If you are going to run it, get blood work done.
Before and after.
Yeah. Before, during, after. I mean, it's going to hit your liver. It's going to disrupt your lipids. Your HDL is probably going to go into the single digits. Just know what you're getting into. It's not a beginner, right, hormone type thing. 1AD, on the other hand, is another story, in my opinion, as it converts to one test, but it was much, much more agreeable with your system. Now, I'm not saying it didn't have any side effects, but you didn't feel like death when you were taking it.
No, you didn't feel like death, but you 1AD always made me feel like I was on the verge of coming down with something. I always felt like that feeling, right before you get the flu,
Yep.
You feel like, man, I feel like something's wrong, something's off. 1AD made me feel like that all the time. And the other thing I hated about 1AD was the level of lethargy. You always felt tired. You always felt exhausted. You just didn't feel like you wake up in the morning, you felt like you go right back to bed again.
Yeah, and frankly, because of those side effects, a lot of guys stacked it with a 4-diol transdermal. And it was a great stack. And using both of those, guys could generally gain some muscle because they could stay on for 4 to 8 weeks. And assuming you have good post-cycle therapy, you might be able to retain some of the gains from that. That doesn't mean it's side effect free, right? As you pointed out. So just word to the wise, I'd get blood work done there too, just to make sure you're not getting into the red zone.
Would you agree that 5-diol was the best of all of them?
No, but only because I never used any 5-diol.
5-diol was the best of all of them. 5-diol converted to a greater degree to testosterone. It made you feel alive. It made you feel active. It made you feel up. It really, like to me, when I was doing high doses of 5-diol, whether it was transdermal or oral, and back in the day, if I was doing it oral, I had to take at least a gram. I would feel it immediately. I would feel like, because you got to remember, the androdiones and androdiols are predominantly adrenal hormones. And like other adrenal hormones, they seem to affect that energy-centric feeling. And I remember taking a gram of diol. I was out in Phoenix. I had flown out there. I was exhausted. And where most people who would start drinking caffeine, I remember taking a gram of 5-diol at the table, not at the table. I went to the bathroom, came back to the table with my sister and brother-in-law. And all of a sudden I was sitting there and I was like, zing. I mean, it woke me right up. So I thought 5-diol was the king. I really did.
That's interesting. I got the same feeling from 4-diol. they'll tell you it is a pro-hormone to testosterone. I would tell you, I believe 4-diol is intrinsically active all by itself.
Oh, it definitely was. There's research that shows that too. That in and of itself, it produced an anabolic effect.
Yeah. And final word here concerning the government's pro-hormone ban. I really think they missed the boat on 4-diol and 1-AD, which, in their effort to ban those compounds, the baby got thrown out with the bathwater. Those two in particular worked. They were reasonably safe, and they are certainly far less dangerous than alcohol, tobacco, junk food, and a number of other things that I can name, including acetaminophen or aspirin. But then again, it was never about protecting the public, right? It's about politicians and their agendas and advancing their careers, and the save the children crap, unfortunately, works all the time for them. And sadly, it looks like you can only expect more of it going forward.
I'm going to say something that's probably going to piss a lot of people off, but I really feel this way at this point. I'm 62 years old. Maybe this is what happens when you get old, right? They say, oh, you get old, you get crotchety. And I'm starting to think that Bill Gates may not be completely wrong with the depopulation concept, but we'd have to target just certain people. We'd have to target like the people in our population that are not critical thinkers, right? They don't think anything for themselves. They watch the news. They go, murmur. They repeat what they hear on the news. When Joe Biden got in front of Congress and said that he could have been a pro baseball player had it not been for performance enhancing drugs, and he wasn't willing to take them. It was a complete lie, but the non-critical thinkers ate it up. They just ate it up, and they voted these laws in place that took compounds that were relatively harmless. Nobody was dying from them. They were somewhat effective, somewhat ineffective, and they demonized them, and they took average guys, firemen, lawyers, preachers, maybe not the Catholic preachers, and made them all criminals because they were using andro. And now, instead, they sell fake crap that doesn't work. And they call it andro, right? There's who's that? There's a big black football player. He does a commercial where the women go, "Hey Frank, man, you look great. Yeah, I take andro 400. And it's got nothing in it that actually works. And this worked, and this could have been like if they would have left andro on the market. A lot of guys who didn't want to go for HRT would have just taken andro, and it would have worked. Their testosterone levels would have gone up, and they would have felt great, and they didn't have to stick a needle in their ass. And it's just crazy. And so I'm thinking about Bill Gates. I'm thinking, he wants to depopulate. And don't get me wrong, I know he's the devil. Don't get me wrong. This is tongue in cheek, but I'm for a little depopulation if we could target the stupid people. If we really target the stupid people, I don't mean unintelligent people, because you can make yourself more intelligent. You can learn. The people who aren't willing to learn but act like they know everything, I think we could do without them on the planet.
Yeah, you know what? There should be a brief true-false test. If you pass it as a critical thinker, there's one group of laws for that person, and everyone else that flunks it.
Yeah.
Here's another set for you guys.
Yeah. We're gonna feed you. We're gonna give you enough money to just stay in your apartment and leave everybody alone. It's really sad because we have and I realize the whole idea of making people smarter, forcing them to become educated. Culturally, it doesn't work. We've been doing that for like decades now, right? We've been trying to instill in people why it's a great value to embrace education and learn, because through education, you learn and you become able to understand things and comprehend things and do your own research. And so we're never going to be able to force the population to be smarter. We can't. They choose not to, unfortunately. So it's like, okay, if you don't want to be a critical thinker, let's cut the country in half and put all the non-critical thinkers on one side and the rest of us on the other side. And let's just see what happens in 30 or 40 years, who's still here.
Yeah, I think we know what's going to happen, right?
I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of stupid people making decisions that interrupt the rest of our lives, that affect the rest of our lives. It's just,
I agree.
I mean,
It's unfortunate.
and I don't know what's going to happen now with Biden being president. He may want to do away with HRT. He may say, "Hey, you know what? I didn't take HRT. That's why I'm borderline dementia now, and I don't think anybody should take it." You know, who knows? That's what he did with the performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah, when the facts from the AMA, right, the FDA, the DEA, when all those facts didn't fit his argument, what did he do? He appealed to emotion.
Right.
He got a bunch of people up there on the stand who were crying about how their lives were ruined. It's just so much crap.
And remember, the DEA, the head of the DEA said, we don't want to prosecute anabolic steroid crimes. We have real crimes to go after. They didn't want anything to do with this. The FDA did not want anything to do with this. The politicians on Capitol Hill pushed for it. And why? Why are they even involved in baseball? Yeah, what the F is going on? Like, you mean you guys have all the other problems of the country solved, that you can say, you know, we've been so good dealing with the country's problems. Let's fix baseball. No, you didn't even fix the things that the country's dealing with, and keep your hands out of baseball.
I distinctly remember seeing those guys testify and thinking to myself, while this is going on, Osama bin Laden is still at large, and gas is $5 a gallon.
Yes, thank you.
You guys need to be working on stuff like that, not what baseball players are using or not using. Ridiculous.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have more. We have the BluePrint tip of the day. Don't forget, listen during the commercial breaks for the secret word. You could win a box of tasty pastries. Stay tuned. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. Getting a massage post-workout is a proven strategy to facilitate better recovery. Getting to massage therapists can be difficult and expensive, especially in these times. The solution is the Meteor, a heated massage ball from Milestorm. Reduce pain and soreness and expedite recovery with the Meteor's research-backed vibration settings and therapeutic heat. It's convenient for travel and works on any body part. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Meteor and use code SHR15 for 15% off and free shipping if you buy 2 or more. Start recovering better today. By now, you're aware of the cognitive benefits of nootropics. My friends over at Pure Nootropics are giving my listeners 10 to 30% off their already great prices on over 70 high-quality nootropics. Stock up on DHM so you can feel good after your holiday celebration, or try the Superhuman Stack to boost your brain and energize your day. Go to shrnetwork.biz/pure, that's PURE, and start saving today. Clandestine. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High-quality, pasture-raised, great-tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose-to-tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use code SHR20 to save 20% off your entire first order. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon. TaylorMade Health is focused on making sure you're able to perform and look your best. They are a leader in game-changing supplements and cosmetic products. Whether you want to increase strength, expedite recovery, facilitate soft tissue repair, or reduce deep wrinkles, TaylorMade Health has you covered. TaylorMade Health is also the home to Dr. Seed's products such as BPC, BPC Plus, and the Chill Pill. All of my listeners can now get 20% off their first order with code TRY20. That's TRY20. This code can even be used on subscription orders. Visit shrnetwork.biz/try20 today and use code TRY20 for 20% off your first order.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Welcome back. I just realized we missed a question. I don't want to. We'll do this question and then we'll do the blueprint tip of the day. So sit down. Everybody sit back down. All right. So this one comes from Lance. Let's see. Lance Bonaconte. He says, "Give me the 411 on vitamin C, please. Does it really boost the immune function?"
Well, there's a lot that goes into immunity, a hell of a lot more than a single vitamin. Having said that, there is clearly, in my mind, a relationship between vitamin C and immune function. There's no question about it. When it comes to vitamin C and the science behind it, people are quick to quote Dr. Linus Pauling. And you know, it's true. He lectured vigorously into his 90s. It was hard to argue with a lot of his assertions. But for a true understanding of what vitamin C can really do, you need to Google studies by Dr. Richard Klenner. Dr. Klenner published by far the most science on vitamin C and likely had the best understanding of it. He cured everything from the common cold to polio with it and claimed that adequately dosed, there was no virus that vitamin C couldn't kill. Those may sound like outlandish statements to some people, but after reading about his many experiments and his studies and the results that were brought forth, it's hard to argue with him. So for a deeper understanding of that topic and Klenner, I would suggest Googling Great Vitamin C Presentation, Anabolic Minds. There's a link to a 2-hour presentation that I understand it's 2 hours, but it is well worth investing the time to listen to it, because after doing so, you're going to wonder why vitamin C isn't the first line of defense, right, for all different kinds of ailments. Long story short, here's what I do. I take 3 grams of vitamin C a day, every day. That's for its general antioxidant protection. You need gram amounts of vitamin C for antioxidant function. Yes, 60 milligrams will prevent scurvy, but we're talking about something more than that. In that instance, I would tell you basic ascorbic acid will do. Here's where the situation changes. If I feel something coming on, I dose 2 grams every hour on the hour until I have an urgent reason to visit the bathroom, okay? Because that is the point at which you will know that you are saturated. Interestingly enough, and I've noticed this time after time after time, your body soaks up vitamin C like a sponge when it's fighting something off. You can take far more vitamin C and not have those urgent bathroom visits compared to when your body, isn't sick and you're taking those amounts. Your body seems to use a lot more of it when you're fighting off infection. And once you get there, by the way, don't let up. Keep hammering it, okay, until you're in the bathroom consistently. And then symptoms and then the underlying illness starts to subside. More recently, when I felt something coming on, I decided to get the big guns out, which is to say liposomal vitamin C. And with that, I take 3 grams every 2 hours and continue to do so until my symptoms resolve. I kicked whatever was trying to infect me maybe 3-4 weeks ago. I kicked it and kicked it fast. Liposomal is absorbed by most counts, 3 times better than regular vitamin C. I've seen up to 10 times better in some studies, but 3 times is probably a good bet. The stuff is dynamite, and you won't necessarily be in the bathroom. I would also tell you this: if you or a loved one are ever hospitalized for any virus, I would seriously consider IV vitamin C. Now, the doctor's probably going to fight you on it. He's probably going to tell you it's a waste of time, at which point you need to say, listen, you're a doctor. So 2 things. Number 1, vitamin C never hurt anybody. And number 2, it has helped a whole lot of people, such as me. So hopefully your doctor agrees on that point. If not, bring your liposomal C to the hospital with you so that you can take it and make sure that you're getting enough. So that's my feedback on C. It's good stuff.
It is. Everybody needs some vitamin C. So here's a little known fact about vitamin C. It will reduce the production of aromatase enzyme in your body. So if you're somebody whose estrogen levels are creeping up, maybe you're on HRT and they want to give you anastrozole, tell your doctor, hey, I'd like to try something else first. Right. Take a couple thousand milligrams or a couple grams of vitamin C a day, along with zinc. Whatever the RDA of zinc is, double it. Take that every single day and give it about a month, and then go back and get your blood work done and watch how your estrogen levels have dropped. Watch your estradiol levels will drop. So it's very valuable. We have a couple questions from the audience, so I'm going to get these up here.
Sure.
So Jonathan Lawson says, I'm taking a 6-week cycle of Ment. Ment is it's a 19-nor form of testosterone. It's a 19-nor testosterone at 15 to 20 milligrams a day. I think that's a pretty high dose, actually. And it's made me bloat pretty terribly. And I've put on 15 pounds in a few weeks, probably mostly water, definitely mostly water. It's made me switch from trying to put on size to recomp and put on as little water weight as possible. I do the sauna and mild cardio and walk a few miles a day. My lower back is absolutely killing me. It gives you an insane pump. Anything like that. Methyl 1 test was the same way, right, Rob? People would get on Methyl 1 test. They'd say they can't believe the pump in their back all the time. So anything that causes that level of water retention always causes a horrible back pump, even to try to walk. What can I do to reduce this in lieu of deadlifts and squats? Can I use in place and to avoid lower back pain? Thanks. Well, the first thing you could do is lower your dose. So
I was going to say back off the dose.
Are you familiar with Ment at all?
Vaguely, not terribly so. No.
So Ment is used.
It sounds like Methyl 1 test. Though.
No, but but it's actually a 19-nor testosterone, and it's used in Europe. It's been used in Europe for a decade as male contraception, because Ment will shut your testosterone down hard and fast. But because it's a 19-nor, it does a lot of the same things that testosterone does. They believe. I don't believe it. I think that you can't replace testosterone with something else. But nonetheless, the dosage as a male contraception is 1 milligram a day. You're taking 15 to 20 milligrams a day. Now, I understand you're doing this because you want to build muscle with it. So for number one, personally, I wouldn't use Ment without using testosterone. I wouldn't. Because your testosterone is being shut down. This imbalance in testosterone. So 19-nor testosterone, they have a ratio. Doctors don't test for 19-nor. No one talks about it. But the same way that DHT and testosterone have a ratio that doctors go, oh, you're good. You're in that right place. So does 19-nor and testosterone. 19-nor testosterone and testosterone, they have ratios. And so chances are your testosterone is completely shut down. And depending on how long you've been on, he says, okay, let me put this up there. He is still using his TRT dose. Well, the first thing you could do is try upping your dose of testosterone and see if that corrects what's going on. Or better yet, lower your dose of Ment. Take your Ment down to the equivalent of, maybe 3 milligrams a day. And I bet you a lot of the water weight will come off in a week or two. But I'm sure that that's what it is. Ment is a very, very powerful steroid. So powerful, like I said, they use it in Europe exclusively as male birth control. And they use I think 0.8 to 1 milligram a day in men to shut their testosterone off. Think about that for a second. Completely shuts off testosterone. Bang, your testosterone is that of a 14-year-old girl. So try backing your dose down for a couple of weeks and see what happens. See if you start to lose that water weight. I'm betting you will. And think about it this way. Ment is very, very strong. You'll probably still make muscle gains at a couple milligrams to 3 milligrams a day. That's the problem that a lot of people have. You know, I've discovered that just a smidgen of trenbolone along with your testosterone, you don't get the night sweats, you don't get the problems, you don't get the lethargy, which, by the way, is caused by an increase in oxytocin production. I did a whole show on that. If you're not aware of how trenbolone works, trenbolone builds muscle by raising oxytocin production 50-fold, 50. And that's what builds the muscle. But it's also what causes the heart irregularities where you feel like, you know, walking is so hard. Next time you want to see how powerful oxytocin is, have an orgasm and then go run up the stairs. Like jump out of bed and run up the stairs. You can't. Your heart's pounding. That's what oxytocin does. And that's why trenbolone is so tough on the cardiovascular system, because it raises oxytocin 50-fold. But just a tiny bit of tren, and I'm talking about tren nth, like 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams a week. You fold that into a TRT dose of 200, 250 milligram testosterone, you'll make gains, but you won't feel horrible. You just have to be patient. You're not going to make the gains in a week or two. You're going to make the gains in a month or two.
And the only thing I can add to that is try taurine for the back cramps.
Interesting.
You know?
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so that's the end of the online questions. We're going to take our last commercial break, and when we come back, we got the BluePrint tip of the day. Stay tuned. We shall return. Don't forget, listen to those commercials because you'll hear the secret word. We'll be right back. Longer to digest. Oops. Totally messed everything up. I'm a bad producer. There we go. January is World Carnivore Month, and more people are finding the carnivore diet alleviates the symptoms of autoimmune disorders as well as digestive and gut problems. But there's one issue. The carnivore diet is called the low residue diet because you're not eating plants and you're not getting fiber, and the protein takes longer and longer to digest. Some people notice that they are very constipated in the early phases of their carnivore diet adventure. Well, I have the solution. It's a product by Bioptimizers called P3OM. P3OM is a probiotic that is specifically designed to digest protein. In fact, P3OM doubles its population in your gut every 20 minutes, making it easier and faster to digest the protein you're consuming on your carnivore diet. If you find the carnivore diet is hard for you to stick to, don't give up. Just add P3OM into the mix and you'll love it. Go to shrnetwork.biz/P3OM and use the code SUPERHUMAN. That's SUPERHUMAN and save 10% off today. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. Are you ready to change the way you age? Of course you are. That's why you're here. Juvicel is a new first-of-its-kind dietary supplement that includes 10 key research-backed ingredients shown in studies to support lifespan. Things like resveratrol, fisetin, quercetin, pterostilbene, sulforaphane, turmeric, all in a single dose. You may have some of these ingredients already, but Juvicel is the first to combine them all into a single product to support your lifespan. It's vegan, non-GMO, and sustainable sustainable. Live better longer with Juvicel. Go to shrnetwork.biz/live better. Use code SHR and save 20% off today. By now, you're aware of the cognitive benefits of nootropics. My friends over at Pure Nootropics are giving my listeners 10 to 30% off their already great prices on over 70 high-quality nootropics. Stock up on DHM so you can feel good after your holiday celebration, or try the Superhuman Stack to boost your brain and energize your day. Go to shrnetwork.biz/pure, that's PURE, and start saving today.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Clandestine. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High-quality, pasture-raised, great-tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose-to-tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use code SHR20 to save 20% off your entire first order.
Spit that out right now. This is the Superhuman Channel.
I totally botched that break. I got this on a timer to try to keep me on track, and I had the volume turned down, and we went a little long. So when I went to start the commercial spot, it was like already. Anyway, so what is the blueprint tip of the day, Coach?
The tip of the day is finding opportunity in injuries. So as I mentioned at the top of the show, I recently strained my IT band, my left hip. And then last Tuesday, my lower back locked up. The back was officially healed as of yesterday in record time, right? 6 days. The hip still bothered me a little bit. However, those recent events caused me to take some time off. And during that time, I look back, but more importantly, I look forward, right, in my training career. I took stock of a few things. And in the process, I found some information that has drastically improved my workouts in a very short period of time. And I'm talking here about active, not passive stretching. Now, everybody knows you need to stretch, right? Certainly, I knew this. I've heard it forever. But as a lifetime of lifting weights has left me quite inflexible, particularly my lower body. It never was an issue, or at least I never noticed it until I started jiu-jitsu, at which point a lot of inadequacies in the flexibility department started to show up. And the reality is that, like a lot of us who should know better, my stretching was sporadic and certainly not comprehensive. I did it. I don't think I truly invested enough time, though, to understand it and how it could be better accomplished. So I went looking for better solutions. And just like I've said for 8 years, I think now on this program, I found it by ordering, reading, and digesting some eye-opening information that not only has improved my mobility in a short period of time, but also my strength and seemingly lessening the likelihood that I'll get injured right in the first place. First, here's the bad news. The wrong kind of stretching before your workout, studies show it can leave you weaker. And generally speaking, that's passive stretching. Things like, holding your elbow above your head to stretch your tricep, etc. In fact, if you get too flexible in that regard, like some of these yoga masters, it can, believe it or not, make you more prone to injury. But the right type of stretching, active stretching, can actually make you stronger. And so what I learned was one active stretch for the front of your body, right? All the muscles on the front, the anterior chain. one stretch for the posterior chain, all the muscles on the back of your body, and importantly, a stretch that I had never seen done previously, at least with any consistency, a stretch for the lateral chain, the side of you, all the muscles on the side of your body. You perform these you can do it anywhere from every day to every other day, depending upon your starting point, right? And as I'm reading along, it was claimed that in 5 to 10 weeks, even the most severe injuries would get better if downright not, heal for good. I was skeptical of that, but I'll tell you, based on just a little bit that I've done, I'm not skeptical anymore. In a very short period of time, I began to feel better. And let me qualify that, because it was a real eye-opener. I felt great after doing these stretches. It's almost like, drinking an espresso or taking a pre-workout with a strong shot of dopamine. I felt so good, I began doing them every day. And given my poor wife some of her injuries, I started her on them too. We did them today. So time will tell, but if they make her feel better, with all of her ailments, the good bet they'll help just about everybody. All of which would have never happened if I hadn't gotten injured. I would have never had a reason to buy this book. I would have never been exposed to the information or even try it. Now, my hip will heal 100% in due time, just like my back did. And the important part is this: after reading, digesting, and using this information, even after my injuries heal, I will be left with a stretching routine that is not only comprehensive, but it's something that I can live with, right? It's something that I look forward to. It's uncanny, right? You get this dopamine hit almost like a regular workout without the tissue damage incurred by a regular workout. Quite the opposite, in fact. It's like lubing your joints, it feels like, perking up your mood. This is how injuries can benefit you sometimes, right? Sometimes they're a blessing in disguise. You just need to look for the silver lining. If you break your leg, take the time to get absurdly strong on chin-ups and dips and watch the newfound muscle pile on. You hurt your back, find yourself a hip belt squat machine, or order the Iron Mind hip belt that I'm always spouting off about, or learn the assisted one-legged squat, just holding onto a rope, a TRX strap, or belt hanging from a bar. Your wheels will be big, strong, and certainly your knees will be a lot less prone to injury once you're done. So here's the bottom line. If you get injured, and you will, it's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. During that time, bide your time by regrouping, reloading, and strategizing for your next move. Strive to fully understand whatever new strategy it is that you come up with. Become a student, a real student of the game. Whatever game it is that you plan on, become an expert at it. Buy a new book, subscribe to a newsletter, or hire yourself a trainer, not forever, but for 6 weeks. And make no mistake, those 3 that I just listed, they're not expenditures like supplements or food, gone in 30 days. They are investments in you and your training future. So use that injury, whatever it is, to get better. The opportunity is there. You just need to look for it and then seize it. Injuries are a big deal, sometimes bigger than others, but they lead to better things. At least looking back in my training career, I can honestly say that.
Smarter training styles. So, Rob, I know you have to go, but we have one question real fast. Robert Thompson wants to know, can old men do jujitsu? What do you think, Rob?
The answer is hell yes.
First of all, are you an old man, Rob?
Yes, 51 years old. I qualify as an old man. And I'll say this, our instructor is 60, 62. And he's out on the mat with us. So absolutely, yes, it can be done.
Great show.
Probably should be done too. You'll know how flexible you are or aren't, as the case may be.
I want to thank everybody who was here who asked questions live. I want to remind people that there are two occurrences of the secret word in today's show in the commercial breaks. If you haven't heard them, go back and listen for them. Once you know what the secret word is, email that word to onair@superhumanradio.net, and you are entered to win a box of birthday cake tasty pastries from Legendary Foods for this week. The winner will be announced next week. And that's it for today. We have good shows the rest of the week. Hope you can tune in. Share the show. See you by tomorrow with more Superhuman Radio. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.